What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I am going to be referencing the video that I just shot last week. This video is going to be explaining some of the things that came up in the comments from how the follow-through and the finish are separated and how a lot of people are taught that those two things are the same and what they do and what they don't do. So let's get into it. So in last video, I talked about how the follow-through is everything that goes out towards the court, and the finish is everything that comes around the body or back towards the body after you've already hit the shot. If you remember, I've said specifically that the follow-through is going to be imparting all your direction, power, spin, and any of those type of things on your shot. Your finish is for directly avoiding hurting your shoulder, stressing parts of your body. It allows your muscles and your tendons to relax as you go through the swing. You can play a full match without ever finishing your swing, just going all the way out from one side, all the way out on the other. I don't recommend it, as I said, because you could damage things by virtue of swinging really fast and having to stop at the same time. So the follow through does one thing, but the finish just allows you to continue doing it without putting too much strain on certain parts of your body. What some people were asking specifically was, well, why do you see so many different finishes for the same type of shot? Or what about when Rafa hits the ball like this and then you see Novak with a ball that his racket finishes down here? So there are a bunch of different follow-throughs that you see on the Pro Tour, both men and women, and that people were saying, well, I see this person finishing like this all the time and they tend to hit the ball more flat, or they tend to hit the ball more heavy. How does that relate to the other? So I'm going to go into those things directly and kind of debunk some of the things that people were speaking specifically about and kind of bring it right back around to why the finish doesn't matter as much as the follow through. I have my lovely hitting partner Emily back with us today, and she's going to help me basically illustrate why playing with certain follow throughs versus certain finishes affects certain things. So as I rally with her, my main goal right now is hit my forehand out through the court and have it where she can't step towards me. Now, if you notice, I'm not finishing any of my swings right now. I'm extending out into the court with no finish. Everything's all follow through right now. And Emily is in the back of the court. Now watch the difference in what I do when I add a finish. I'm going to do the same follow through and up, follow through and behind my shoulder. But the ball is staying generally the same through the court. And then if I was to take that finish this way, the ball is still moving the same way. So with the same follow through, but two different finishes, you're seeing the same type of shot. I'm hitting out into the court, and then to allow my muscles to relax, I'm pulling my shoulder through in different directions. Somebody like Rafa, who everybody is very familiar with, 99% of the time finishes his swing behind his back. But you'll see him still going for balls that scream through the court like that. So that kind of by itself illustrates the fact that the follow through is what's actually doing the work. Now, does that mean that the finish doesn't connect to the follow through? Not at all. But what the follow through is going to do that the finish can't do is do something to the ball. The finish usually is a mechanism that people have that just kind of naturally happens based on the setup of their feet, their body weight, their position. I've played with Emily a bunch of times, and I've seen her hit winners on me where she'll hit around her waist and then around her shoulder the exact same way. Changing the angle to here, I want to also highlight another thing that can directly adjust your follow through and your finish, and that would be your grip and your, I don't want to say your forehand type, but that's the thing that I'm going to call it for today, because there are different types of classifications of forehand that we have now. So for example, we have the classic forehand, which is a more linear back and then forward motion. We have the modern forehand, which is more of a setting here and then going up and then down and then through. And we have what's now called like the next gen forehand, which is you see the racket head kind of laying down in front of him and the wrist being the pivot point that generates the power rather than the shoulder. All of these forehands still have a follow through. It's just where the follow through comes from. So classic forehand here, modern forehand there, and then next gen forehand there. But if you notice, I'm still bringing my racket out right towards the camera, which means the ball would still be struck in that same direction. Now, after that would be a direct correlation to which forehand you're using. For example, classic forehands don't really usually have huge follow throughs because the racket speed back then wasn't that fast. But the modern forehand, everything was taught, hey, go up over your shoulder, which is why I made that reference last time. But you don't have to go over your shoulder. All depends on what you're trying to do with the ball, in which case the follow through does the work, and then the racket just breaks around. And the next gen forehand, you're seeing a lot more finishes down here or barely moving the racket. TFO and Nick Kyrgios are two people that really do this a lot, and you'll see minimal hand movement, which basically proves the point of you're eliminating the finish and extending out through the ball, and that's the only job you're trying to do. So I'm going to rally with Emily again, and I'm going to change my forehand between the three. Here you go. Starting with the classic forehand, it's very straight, very linear, back here and out, back here and out. Changing to the modern, still going out into the court, and then changing next gen, my hand looks like this, and then comes straight through. Repeat one more. But when I do the next gen forehand, if I slow this video down, which I'm going to do right here, the motion of the racket before and after is different than the motion of it through the strike zone. Through the strike zone, if I show you all three, the strike zone and the extension through the strike zone is almost the same. Almost. There's minor differences, subtle differences, but not huge. So I hope that kind of cleared up some of the stuff. But again, this video wasn't meant to be anything super in-depth. It was just meant to explain some of the things people were asking about in the comments of the last video. I will be releasing another video to teach in the next week, but I just wanted to get this one out to make sure that we were clearing up any of the questions that people were having so that we can move on to the next topic that's going to help you guys out. If you know anybody that had any of these issues, send this video off to them and let them know that there's different things that they can be focusing on within the follow throughs and finish. But we will catch you guys in the next one.